In a world bound by rigid norms and ancient rules, the winds of change began as whispers among the weary. This was a society where the mechanisms of governance and control were ironclad, designed to suppress innovation and curtail freedoms. Each day, the citizens of this world woke to a life preordained by traditions that no longer served their interests or the needs of the times. The old system, a towering structure of bureaucracy and conformity, loomed over every facet of life. Its influence was pervasive, reaching deep into the personal, economic, and spiritual realms of its citizens. People lived under constant surveillance, their actions monitored and their voices muted. The economy, stagnant and monopolized by a select few, offered little opportunity for growth or advancement. Social mobility was a concept of the past, and the societal divide widened with each passing day. Discontent simmered below the surface as a growing number of individuals felt the pinch of outdated laws and regulations. This was a world teetering on the brink of rebellion, with each act of defiance, no matter how small, setting the stage for larger confrontations. Conversations, once hushed and filled with fear, grew louder and more daring, questioning the validity and the morality of the existing order. Issues such as rampant corruption, unjust policies, and the blatant disregard for the welfare of the populace acted as catalysts, igniting a fire within the hearts of many. The inequities of the system were laid bare for all to see, as the rich prospered and the poor languished, their lives marked by hardship and despair. The middle class, once the backbone of society, found themselves caught between diminishing prospects and increasing demands from those in power. As the grip of the old regime tightened, incidents of rebellion began to surface. These were not organized movements, but spontaneous acts of resistance. Workers slowing down their pace, students circulating clandestine literature, and markets subtly defying trade restrictions. Each act, though small in isolation, was a thread in the tapestry of change, woven together by shared experiences of injustice and a common desire for freedom. Public spaces, once symbols of the old regime's power, transformed into arenas of subtle defiance. Art and music, infused with messages of hope and resilience, began to reflect the changing mood of the populace. Graffiti, coded messages, and symbolic gestures became the language of the oppressed, tools of resistance in the fight against suppression. Technology played a pivotal role in the dissemination of revolutionary ideas. Despite attempts to control and monitor digital communications, the rebels found ways to bypass censorship using encrypted messages and covert networks. This digital underground became a crucial platform for spreading awareness, organizing gatherings, and sharing strategies. With each passing day, the foundations of the old system cracked a little more. The voices of dissent grew bolder, coalescing into a chorus that could no longer be ignored. The realization dawned upon many that the power to change their circumstances lay in their hands. What began as isolated whispers of discontent soon became a loud, unified demand for change. In the midst of societal unrest and growing demands for change, there whispered a prophecy, old as the very stones upon which the old regime was built. This prophecy spoke of the chosen ones, a group destined to rise from the ashes of the old world and usher in a new era of freedom and enlightenment. It was said that when the world reached its darkest hour, these individuals would manifest powers and insights that could dismantle the old order and inspire a new way of life. The legend of the chosen ones was not confined to any one corner of the world, but was a tapestry of stories and beliefs held across various cultures, intertwined with the hope of millions. It served as a beacon, offering solace and strength to those who felt powerless and oppressed. The prophecy was a common thread in the underground networks, discussed in hushed tones by those who dared to dream of change. As the system's failures grew more apparent, certain individuals began to experience awakenings that aligned with the ancient predictions. These were not dramatic displays of power, but subtle realizations and enhancements of abilities, strategic thinking, empathetic communication, and heightened awareness that set them apart from their peers. Each of these chosen ones, in their own time and place, came to understand that they had a role to play in the transformation of society. Their abilities, though varied, complemented one another, forming a mosaic of potential that could challenge and eventually topple the old regime. Despite their different backgrounds, the realization of their shared destiny prompted a sense of urgency and purpose. As they acknowledged their roles, these individuals sought each other out, guided by the unseen hand of fate. They communicated through the same digital channels that had spread the prophecy, planning their first face-to-face meeting. This convergence was to occur in a place symbolic of the old power, yet central and accessible to all who were called. The gathering of the chosen ones marked a pivotal moment in the unfolding narrative. It was here that the disparate threads of resistance met, weaving together the strengths of each to form a stronger whole. The initial mistrust and uncertainty that marked their meeting slowly melted away as they shared their experiences and visions for a new world. This first convergence was more than just a meeting. It was a melding of minds and purposes. They strategized, not just for the overthrow of the old regime, but for the foundation of a new system that would avoid the mistakes of the past. Each member brought forth ideas that were shaped by their unique experiences with the old system's oppression, ensuring that their plans reflected the diverse needs and hopes of their followers. With a unified vision, the chosen ones began to outline their strategy for dismantling the old regime. They agreed on a series of actions that would disrupt the old order's infrastructure, using their unique abilities to create openings for change. These actions were designed to be impactful yet nonviolent, aiming to protect the innocent while stripping power from the unworthy. They utilized their knowledge of digital systems to spread their message further, reaching out to those who had lost hope and igniting a flame of resistance across the lands. Their plans were meticulous, accounting for the likely responses of the regime, and prepared contingencies for each scenario they could anticipate. This careful and deliberate planning set the stage for a series of coordinated acts that would not only signal the end of the old regime, but would also lay the groundwork for the new system they envisioned. With each step forward, they grew more interconnected, their resolve hardened by the knowledge that their actions could indeed herald a new dawn. As the groundwork was laid and strategies set, the chosen ones initiated their series of coordinated acts of rebellion. These actions, each carefully planned to maximize impact without causing harm, began subtly, targeting key infrastructures and systems integral to the old regime's control. The first act disrupted communication channels used by the regime, replacing propaganda with messages of truth and hope, which were broadcasted across the digital landscape. Following this, a carefully orchestrated series of technological interventions crippled financial systems that sustained the elite's power, redirecting resources back to the deprived areas and demonstrating a redistribution of power and wealth. These financial shifts were not just acts of rebellion, but also proof of concept for a more equitable system, stirring public support and drawing attention to the cause of the chosen ones. With each successful operation, the confidence of the oppressed grew. Marketplaces, once silent and somber under the watchful eyes of regime enforcers, buzzed with whispered discussions of the chosen ones' deeds. Workers in factories and farms, energized by the winds of change, subtly sabotaged efforts that benefited the regime, all the while protecting their fellow workers from reprisals. Inevitably, the regime responded with a heavy hand. Curfews were enacted, public gatherings were banned, and digital surveillance intensified. Raids and arrests became common as the regime sought to quell the rising tide of rebellion with fear and intimidation. But these actions only served to demonstrate the regime's desperation and moral bankruptcy, further legitimizing the chosen one's cause. In the face of this crackdown, The chosen ones adapted their tactics, emphasizing stealth and subterfuge. They leveraged their deep understanding of the regime's operations, turning the oppressive tools against their creators. Safe houses, secret meeting spots, and covert communication channels flourished, ensuring that the flame of rebellion could not be extinguished by brute force alone. The chosen ones themselves faced personal risk daily. Several narrow escapes and close calls with regime forces underscored the dangers of their path. Yet each challenge was met with renewed vigor and a deepened commitment to their cause. They became symbols of resilience and hope, not just for their supernatural talents, but for their unyielding dedication to the fight for freedom. While we reflect on the journey of the chosen ones and the birth of a new society, it's clear that the themes of change, responsibility, unity, and sacrifice resonate far beyond the confines of their world. These are not just elements of a story. They are vital considerations for any society on the brink of transformation. We invite you to reflect on these questions and consider your role in shaping the future. Change begins with a single act, and every one of us holds the power to make a difference. Let this story inspire you to take that first step towards a better tomorrow. Remember, in every moment of decision, we have the power to rewrite our destiny. What chapter will you write in the story of our world?